So, BIP reports we can create in two ways. One, using guide me. Second, using report editor. So using guide me option and using report editor option. Okay. So let's say the 13. Tools, reports and analytics, browse catalog. So same like in MotiBI, we have a two folders, right? My folder and shared folder. So here also we have two folders are there, my folder and shared folder. Okay. So whatever you create the report, so the report will be placed into first my folder, then we have to move to shared folder. To create the report, what we need to do? We have an option called data model. Create data model and create report. These two required to create the data model and report. So now, every report, as you know, right, every report we have two files will be there. Every report we have two files will be there. One is XDM, second is XDO. Every report we have two files will be there, XDM, XDO. XDM means XML data manager. XML data manager. XDO, XML data object. Every report we have two files will be there. XDM, XML data manager, XDO, XML data object. So, so this is the data model file. This is the report file. So in the data model file, you have data source. Data source which will come from data model only. So the data source, it will be the data source. It will be SQL. It will be SQL. It will be SQL, ESP, website. Data model file, you have a data source. So the data source will come from SQL, Excel, CSV, web services, etc. So report file, whatever the data is there, right? So this data, how you want to print in the report based on the data model, how you want to print in the report. Based on the data which we have captured from the data model file, that data how we are going to print in the report, that will be taken care by report file. So it may be a PDF format. So the client will ask any formatted PDF format or CSV format. So Excel format, any format the client will ask. So based on the client requirement, we have to choose appropriate template in the report file.
So Vamshi, in the data model, we'll design the report and the report file is the output of that data model, right?
Data model file, we are going to prepare the queries.
Okay.
And here data will come. So this will be no use, right? But end user will access this one. We
Yeah, the
need to map
output file is the report file.
report file. But we need to develop this also, this also. We need to map this data model to report. After you prepare the data model, map the data model to report. Mapping required. Got it, no? Mapping
So
the
this report file we will do in the RTF?
exactly. In the report file, we have multiple templates are there, RTF in there, Excel, CS, Excel, e-text, like that multiple templates are there. So here, the data which you got from the data model file, how you are going to print in the report, that will be decided by report file. I think once you see the example, you will understand this one. So mapping the data model to report is mandatory. Mapping the data model to report. Understand or not?
Yes.
Okay. Now, first we will see one simple report development using guide me option. Tomorrow we'll see report editor option. So let's say, for example, I want to print user ID. What I'm taking username, creation date, user ID, username, and creation date. So whenever you develop any report, guys, in the real time also, I'm telling you, most of the people are getting confusion here. So I'm taking the example of this one, but it may be any different columns, different screens will come, different business objects will come, right? Different modules will come. So for every report, guys, I'm telling you, for every report, behind that one front end screen will be there. For every report, behind that one front end screen will be there. Remember this point. For every report, behind that one front end screen will be there. 1 minute. Okay. So whenever client has given the requirement, right? So that is your responsibility to ask functional consultant where these columns available in the front end, or where these fields available in the front end. And you have to ask one more question to functional consultant, create some sample data. So how the format of the output should come with the 2 or 3 records. That is your responsibility to ask. So these 2 points you have to remember, guys. For any client requirement, they will give only column names. But in the company, we have functional consultants will be there. So they are going to explain where these columns available in the front end. They have to explain about how this data flow going in the front end. So report development, you have to take care. So these 2 points you have to remember, guys. Client will give the column. So what is your responsibility? You have to ask functional consultant mapping columns in front end. You have to ask functional consultant for mapping columns in the front end. Okay, you have to ask functional consultant for mapping columns in front end. And ask them to create some sample data. ask them to create some sample data in the front end. So based on this data only, you are going to create the report. So now I will show you, first I will show you how to create the data in the front end. Okay, and then we'll see how to create the report. So for every BIP report requirement, first step is whatever the client will give the column names. This is important, guys. Our many students are struggling this one to ask. So this is the mandatory to ask functional consultant for mapping columns in the front end. Ask them to create some sample data in the front end. So based on this only, we have to build a report. Okay. So now for this screen, we already know, right? So that is the reason I'm taking this one as a simple example. For this screen, you already know, right? So that is the reason I'm taking simple example for this one. So let's create one record in the front end, and we will see how the data will come in the report. Understand or not, guys? So tools, security console. Users, and user account. So let's say I'm creating the user name something. Test 15. Test 15. Password. So this is the test 15. Test 15 is the this one. Save and close. So now this is the username. This is the username, and whatever the creation date is there, that creation date will come. User ID will be generated by automatically in the system. User ID automatically will be generated by system. So whatever the date is there, that date will be taken care by system. Save and close. So this is the way functional consultant will show you mapping columns. So mapping columns, they will show, for example, this is the requirement given by client. User ID, username, creation date. So username, user ID given by client. So functional consultant will tell you, so this is the username column. User ID column will be generated by system, that you don't need to worry about that. Creation date also will be will be taken care by system. And email field, for example, client say email field also in the requirement. Then email field also you can take from here. Phone number also, if you want, if they ask me to print in the report, the phone number also you can take like that. So this is the front end columns. So this is the report columns. So this is the example of, I'm considering the example of user report, user information report. So definitely you will ask this question to me. For user information, already you are able to see in the front end, right? So let's say, for example, you will see all the users right here. So whatever the user, for example, whichever the user you want to see, you can see, right? Divided 30. You will see or not? In the front end, you can see, right? Why do we have to create the report? So these kind of questions will come in the interview. So whatever you tell the requirement, so that already there in the front end, right? Why do we have to create the report? So this question will be raised in the interview. Then what is the answer you can tell? So what is the answer you can tell? So the answer what you can tell is, guys, you say that, so this user screen is only a system administrator people will use. How end user will use this screen? End users will not use this screen, right? No.
Yes, Vanshi.
So For every requirement, there must be some reason behind that case. For every requirement in the real time, so there must be some reason behind that. That reason we have to tell confidently in the interview, and who you are asking the questions to you, so you have to tell. That is the important point.
Vamshi, can you please repeat once again that?
Data?
No, can you please repeat it? What we have to say? Like, it cannot be accessed by the end user. It is only accessed by the system administrator, right?
Correct. See, this user screen will be security people, right? In the company,
Yeah.
security team will be there. Right? For them only they will access in the real time. But some end users wants to access the data for the report. So report is only for view purpose, right? Report means they cannot enter the data, right? Correct or not?
Yes, Vamshi.
You say that in the interviewer or someone will ask you. You say that these screens cannot be accessible for end users. They want to access only view purpose data. The view purpose is what? Report, right? Report is only view purpose. So they cannot modify, they cannot enter the data. So that kind of answer you have to tell. So this is for one for user requirement. This is the user report requirement. So this is the answer you can tell. But every report requirement there must be some reason behind that. That reason you have to tell respect to stakeholders. Understand, right? So now coming to the requirement. So okay, the client, a functional consultant has shown the front end screen, and you now you, after that, so your responsibility to build the query, and get the data model ready. Build the query and get the data model ready. Understand or not?
Hello, Vamshi. So in BIP, we'll not be having the columns like in OTBI we had. We have to seed the first in the front end, then we have to build the query. Is it the way?
First, whatever the client has given the column, that column is not there in the BIP, right? You are talking about.
Yes.
See, BIP is only for tool to develop the report. BIP will not hold any columns. Columns will be there in the tables.
Okay.
So see, this is your responsibility to find out the table name where these columns available. This is your responsibility to identify these columns where this is your responsibility to identify the column names from the table.
Like in OTBI, we had subject areas.
Subject areas
for
we have
every,
identified, right? Same way
yes,
here
for
also
every
we have
subject area, we were having some columns.
columns, correct.
Yes.
But
So
here
as well, it will be the same, right?
no, here we don't have subject areas. Here we have tables.
Okay.
So if you want to build a query, guys, we have to, if you want to build a query, we have to identify the table names for the front end screen. So this is the most complex thing, guys, in the BIP report development, guys. So identifying the table names, whatever the front end which end user or functional consultant has shown to us, we have to identify the table name behind the front end screen. We have to identify the table names behind the front end screens. So that is the main important thing, guys. So for example, this is the simple use case, user ID, username, and creation date. So this is straightforward. Sometime it will not be straightforward. So whatever the client has given the requirement, so the columns may or may not be available. The columns may or may not be available in the backend tables. That case, we can create the attributes, DFFs we can create, or EFF we can create. That is another case. Even though you create the DFF and the KFFs you have created, still those columns not available in the backend table. Then you can tell the client that this column not available. like that you can say. Maximum 80% columns, 80-90% columns will be there, guys. So after 80-90% columns available, then you are, if the columns which not given by client, you can create the DFF. The DFF columns you can plug in into query. And after that, you can create the report.
Even though we create this DFF columns also, Vamshi, there will be no data, right? Immediately there will be no data. So what it will be printed in BIP reports?
They will
There
create
is
the
no
data,
data.
right? You can say that client that so data not there in the front end, like that.
Okay.
That is genuine, right? See, if the data
Yes.
not available in the front end, the report also will not print the data.
Yes.
That is the reason I'm telling you every fusion screen behind that, every report behind that one front end screen will be there. So that is the first point you have to remember. Guys. BIP report case or OTBA case also. Every report behind that one, I can say every front end screen behind that tables will be there. Every table you can create the BIP report. Every table using we can create the report. That means every report behind that front end will be there. That report front end screen navigation, your responsibility to ask functional consultant in the company. Functional consultant is responsible for explain the navigation and front end screen and sample data. Sample data you have to ask the functional consultant. And once the requirement is ready, then it is your responsibility to build the query and find out the table names and whatever the columns given by client, and we have to prepare the query. So consider this example. You can go to the UI apps OER. UI apps OER. Tables and views for HCM. So here also a naming convention. This user screen, right? User account. So you have to identify the naming conventions. So you need to do trial and error, guys. For example, we identified the table name for underscore users. So this is the table name we identified. Select star from for underscore. Okay. So what columns client is asking, so that you need to build. Select column name what client has given, user ID. So assume that client has given the sample data, username is we have created test 15, right? Client will give, sorry, client means functional consultant or client, both are same. So test 15 is the username. So user ID will be generated by automatically. Creation data also will be generated by automatically. This is the username. So what you will do, whatever the columns client has given, first column, whatever the column given by client, first column we identified. Select user ID. Like that you can put comma. So I think in SQL, he might have explained that select statement how to build.
Yes, Vamshi.
Okay. So what is the next column? Username. Select username. Next column. User ID, username, creation date. So creation date also will be there. Creation date like that. Then what is the from table name?
For users.
For underscore users.
Like that, first build simple query and what client has given the column data. This is the example client or functional consultant has given the sample data. And copy this one where where column name equal to like this. And check whether this data coming in the backend table or not. Copy this one. So backend table or not.
So Vamshi, there is no way to check the table name from the screen, right? Except this Fusion apps over here.
Table names they have not given, Sharada. Maybe in
From the
the
screen anywhere we cannot check.
no. 100% no. So in EBS it was there, but in the Fusion there is no way to check in the front end where the table name, what is the screen behind the table names. Maybe I think for sure Fusion future releases they will give, that will be easier for developers.
Yes, yes.
But as of now they have not given. So go to the.
So if that is the case, it will take so much time, no, Vamshi, to find out the particular table name.
That is the way Oracle has given Mujamil. So we don't have a solution for that. So we have to do like this only. So I am working almost 3 or 4 projects simultaneously now. So there is no solution for that. Data model.
In R12 even we can get the query also, right? Behind the screen.
Yeah, R12 will be there, and forms in R12 OF also will be there, and forms also will be there. OF you can see about this page in EBS, right? There you can find the query and column names behind that. And in form you can go to the record history diagnostics. So there you will find that. But usually it is like that. See one thing you have to for business for example, if they given the column name, if they given the table names directly here, so why they require the people? Uh, for example, if one report development, if they given straightforward solution, we don't they don't require many people, right, for hiring. That is also you understand, na, Mujamil?
Yes, Vamshi, yes.
So if they made complex, then they will hire more people, right? Correct or not?
Yes,
The work
Vamshi.
will be more, right? If identification of the table, it will take so much time. That is 100% understandable. But if they given all the information in the page for seeing the table name, query, everything, so then our life will be easy. No developers required, right?
Yes,
So,
I agree with you.
If this name can be any name, module name HCM, like this. So whatever the client has given the sample data, that is matching here. Matching or not? Client or
Yes.
function consultant given the sample data, so that is matching in the backend. So this is the first beginning step you have to do before you start the development. First, identify the table names and see whatever the client has, whatever the client or functional consultant has given that sample data, so that is coming in the backend table or not. So once you identify the data, then you start the building on the remaining columns. See, this is a simple example I'm taking. So that is the reason we have 3 columns are there. But in the real time, it may be more columns will be there. So now data model preparation done, query preparation also done. But client will say that you need to pass the parameters or not. Parameters, I think he has covered or not in the SQL. Bind parameters. In SQL, did he cover bind parameters or not?
No, Vamshi.
No, Vamshi.
Sure or?
Yes, yes, sure.
Yes, Vamshi.
Okay. Anyway, bind parameters I will cover tomorrow, but we will see today simple. I'm not passing any parameter. Copy this query. So bind parameter I will cover tomorrow. So this is the sample data we got. So after you get the sample data, so from here save as sample data here. So data model already save as sample data. Save as sample data, and then create the report. Save as sample data. Save as sample data. Create the report. I think we need to save the data model guys first. Save that. Sorry. User info. Save as sample data. Create report. Save as sample data. Create report. That we need to save, right? Save first. Save the data model. So I will create one folder here. BIP data model. Sorry, BIP reports. In the BIP report, we will create one folder. This is report user info. Click on OK. So now data model has saved. So I think the file extension, you know, right? File extension is XDM. So this is the data model. The file extension properties, it is XDM. So after the data model has been created, save as sample data, create report, save as sample data, create report. So now what we will do, so this is the data model name. While you create the report, we have two options are there, guide me on use report editor. So this option we will see coming days, but first we'll go for the guide me option. Guide me option automatically a template will be created. So click on next. Save the data. Save the data model. Save the data model. Save the use guide me option. So when we use the guide me option, automatically the XDM file will be mapped. Click on next. So now what you will do, drag and drop the user ID, username, creation date, user ID, username and creation date. So whatever the columns required. So after you click the guide me, the screen will come. Okay. So whatever the columns required in the report, that columns you can add here. Click on next. So click on finish. So as soon as you click the finish, so I told you, right, we have two files will be there. This is the second file. So this is the report file. You can give any name. Report file name can be any name. Click on OK. So this is the report. So this is a simple report, guys, but there is no parameters are there. So parameter concept we will see further classes. So if you look at this one, so we have two files will be there. One is data model file, one is report file. If you click on more properties, we have XDM. And if you click on this report file properties, we have a XDO. And every time end user will be open only report. End user will not be open the data model. Data model only for our development purpose. Okay. So for example, end user wants to open the report, click on open. So this is the report. And if he wants to download the output, then what he will do? There is a option here. Export video. The report will be downloaded like that. Understand or not, guys? Steps.
Yes, Vamshi.
So use guide me option to create. Then select the columns what you want to display. Add in the select the columns what you want to display. Add in the report. And after that, display the data and save into my folder. Then sixth, open the report. So this is the steps, guys. So guys, in SQL, I will ask you, he covered NVL.
Yes, Vamshi.
Yes, Vamshi.
Decode.
Yes, Vamshi.
Yes, Vamshi.
Yes, case decode.
Joins
Yes.
Yes, Vamshi. Yes.
subquery.
Yes, Vamshi. Yeah.
Okay. Schema, he had not covered schema.
No.
Parameters also we are not covered. What do you mean by schema? What do you mean by parameters? Okay.
Schema just have given like first we have to create a schema for each table. There will be a schema like that, he said, for the database and all. Separate queries and all he didn't say for the schema.
Queries means?
If I mean for schema, if you are telling about any separate queries, if you have
No, schema
that
there
he
is no.
didn't teach.
No, schema there is no query. Schema means a user in the database.
He just given the concept. He said like for the database there will be a schema, and what is the use of the schema and all this.
Yeah, there is no query required here, but this required understanding in VLED code joins.
That and all completed once.
Okay, correct. So only parameters you are not covered, right? Okay.
Yes, once.
I will cover tomorrow this one. Huh?
Okay, once.
Thank you. Tomorrow I will.
Thank you, once.